What is up, guys? Today we are looking at some of the most underrated champions in each role. I do a bunch of research for these videos. I stalk so many different regions, and these champions aren't played very much but are super strong at the moment. Kind of like flying under the radar, meaning you stand a good chance of being able to play them and do well. This is another video with the folks over at Pro Guides, and you can check them out down below. Comment with your underrated champs or what you think. Remember to like this if you do, dislike it if you don't, but let's jump in with our top lane pick. Wukong is kind of always decent, really, kind of like a Nivea, like he's rarely changed, but he just comes in and out of the meta depending on what's being picked around him. He is not the best against champions that build tanky but do damage. They can bully him early and he's not the strongest in lane, but against more pure tanks or low health champions, he is amazing. He does insane damage even early. His ultimate can be a game changer. He roams well, his team fights are great, and people just don't ever expect the amount of damage he can do. That is something that I find a lot. That is kind of the point of this video, really, in a way, because these aren't as played as much. Not only are they strong individually anyway, but you have the extra benefit of people just not expecting what you can do, catching them by surprise and putting them on the back foot. Wukong's trading is actually pretty good. You can go really aggressive early, which surprises most people because they think he's just there to use his ultimate in team fights. Your passive means you can build mostly damage. Black Cleaver is ridiculous on him because your ultimate applies it so quickly, and even the Hydra buff is nice to add in a bit more wave clear to his kit. I think he's always been semi-strong. He's getting a lot better now, and you could even play him in the jungle. You ideally want to avoid someone who is tanky with damage like Poppy or even Malphite maybe, but against Jax or Gangplank or Sion, you'll do really well. Let's move over to our jungler, and we mentioned him a long time ago, but Skarner is slotting back into the meta right now and fits really exactly what we want. You're really gonna get sick of me saying this, but tanks with damage are OP. It's true, okay? I can't do anything about it. Skarner builds tanky while doing a huge amount of damage. Like, naturally, he has a lot of defense anyway, a nice shield, mobility to avoid damage, and then builds Schaick Cinderhole, Geistborn Gauntlet, Deadmans, which are that cross between offense and defense. The stun he outputs, the damage he can do are just not expected. Like, we never see him really. People just don't pay attention, and it will take them a while to remember that 3 hits and you're stunned. His clear speed is good in the jungle. His ganks are okay with his stun. They're amazing with his ultimate, and team fights he can soak a lot of damage while being really annoying. Or I mean, he can just flash engage. That's also kind of what he does. The default is really to max Q in this guy. This is what I thought anyway, but having done some research, a lot have started to max their E now, and that seems to be doing better at the moment. Ranking it up is going to slow more, it does more damage, it makes your stun hurt more, and it also means that you have less mana problems, kind of, because ranking up your Q increases the mana cost of it too, and you do spam that. This guy is really hard to deal with and is one of the best junglers at lower ranks, especially because of how tanky he gets, how much damage he can do, and how easy it is to flash out someone to turn a fight. That sounds a lot like a Mumu, right? Who is also really strong. Let's go on to our AD carry next, and Twitch is so good right now. It is a much more proactive playstyle. We're not really like the AD who just sits back and waits for his team to engage. We're the AD who wants to find someone alone and give him a good old slap before the fight starts. We have an amazing team fight though. Runins is great with our ultimate. We just get these huge AoE crits off, plus apply poison, and honestly, I think it's actually a lot like Kog'Maw, kind of. I know that's really odd. Maybe I'm going to get hate for that, but you're kind of just sitting still and auto-attacking a lot, doing a huge amount of damage, and there isn't really much else for you to do. So I guess there are really two kind of different, very different actually, play styles you can have. I've been playing a lot of Twitch recently, so I've tried both, and this is what I found. So the first one is you can rush a Ghostblade. This is what a lot of people do. This is going to make your lane phase stronger. You'll do a lot of damage in a short burst after coming out of stealth, and it's really good if you want to snowball or start fights a lot. The downside is in team fights, it's not as good as Blade, but you will have a brief window at the start when you use it where bursting down squishy targets is easier. Blade the Ruined King is more lifesteal in lane, but you won't be doing as much damage early because of the percentage health is more effective later. In team fights, your Runes, extra bolts, and ultimate range will all apply the Blade passive damage, making it ridiculous. Morgana is next up, and she's actually our mid lane pick, which you probably were not expecting. I've seen Morgana mid in the comments of my videos for months, and it's normally what I call an enabler, a pick that lets others do their job even better. Morg has good wave clear. Actually, the wave clear is ridiculous. Good poke with her bind, even good overall kill potential if if you can land a bind into your ultimate. She doesn't really have like a huge amount of damage. It is good actually, but it's long cooldown and won't carry a game by itself in most games. It might not carry the game with damage, but what it will do is catch people. Binds last years, and all it takes is one late game, one good bind to really win a game, especially when that bind plus pull does like half of their health anyway. You also have two really distinctive ways of using your ultimate. You can actually use it for peel to protect your AD carry, or just flash in and use it, I guess. You have a black shield to protect or allow your teammates to go in as well. Morgana isn't going to carry the same as most mid laners by just rolling over everyone with damage, but she will set up most of the plays that will lead you to winning a game, which in my opinion is just as good. I did a lot of research for this one because she's not the kind of choice that I normally make for mid lane, especially not in these kind of videos, I guess, but her win rate is really good, like top 10 in EU and Korea and just above that in North America. As we're getting more into the mid to late game phases of the game now, picks become even more important. Like one bind onto someone late game can get them killed and you can push for an inhib or even to win. I guess the way to put it to kind of round this out is that she might not be the obvious carry, but she's a lot like Lulu, does a lot of damage, good lane phase, and has a ton of impact that isn't obvious. So for support, we're going to take a look at Sona, who I genuinely think is top tier right now. Sona does a bit of everything really. She has good sustain, some good poke, and a really powerful ultimate for lane fights and team fights. If you play AD carry, you'll know that feel. This is horrible, right? Where you're basically soloed by the enemy Sona. She'll hit you with a Q a few times, power chord, and suddenly you're half health. The trade-off for the poke damage though is that she is low health and easily focused in a full-on fight. But as we're moving away from like lane bullies and aggressive support, she is definitely coming back. You do have to be a bit more proactive than most defensive supports, and honestly, I don't even know if we can call her defensive. She is there to poke and pressure in lane to create an advantage and allow her AD to free farm. That is her job, really. I mean, you can just max heal and sit back, I guess, but that skill order has a much lower win rate, and mainly because if you're going to do that, then why don't you just pick Soraka or Nami, who heal for more and are better at it? The thing that makes Sona underrated, the thing that separates her from the others, is her impact on the game. She is definitely a carry support if you play it correctly. Use that Q of yours to poke and pressure, ult to set up fights or re-engage, and honestly, most AD carries, especially at lower ranks, will have no idea how to deal with that kind of damage you can output. So there you go, 5 of my most underrated picks right now. Thank you again to Pro Guides for editing this together for me. Their YouTube and website links will be floating around for you to check out. So what do you guys think of my 5? Did I leave someone out? Did I get it right? Let me know down in the comments. Like, subscribe, comment, share, but for now, let's go to the robots.